They thought killing 4 women would silence us. Turns out, it gave us a microphone. Their stage was polished steel, their voices sharp as broken glass, their arrogance brighter than their floodlights. The ropes snapped tight, and the galaxy applauded the show as if cruelty were art. We watched, yes, but we did not kneel, not then, not ever. And if the Empire mistook our silence for surrender, then they were already doomed. The broadcast reached every home at once. Children in Nairobi dropped their schoolbooks to watch in horror. Workers on oil rigs off the Gulf froze, helmets tucked under their arms. A grandmother in Rio clasped her crucifix, whispering prayers into static. No corner of Earth escaped the spectacle. For women chosen at random, executed live, declared traitors against galactic order. The aliens stood behind them with symmetrical faces too flawless to trust, too calm to be real. Their language rattled like iron scraping glass, and beneath it, human translators delivered the verdict in tones of bureaucratic finality. Obedience ensures survival. Resistance ensures extinction. The women jerked, feet kicking at nothing. The crowd of aliens remained still as statues, their perfect mouths unmoved by mercy. Humanity's screens went dark after the broadcast, but the silence that followed was not submission. It was memory sharpening its teeth. In a tavern outside Houston, Elias Kane sat with his whiskey. The news replayed on a crooked television in the corner, fuzzy with interference. He'd been trying to drown his years in the bottom of that glass. But the moment the rope snapped around the youngest woman's neck, his hand tightened. The glass shattered, blood mixing with liquor on the table. "They hung my niece," he said flatly. People stared. Elias wasn't a general anymore, hadn't been for years. He'd once refused to sign the surrender accord, telling Earth's Provisional Council that humanity bows to no empire. For that, he'd been stripped of rank, cast out, left to stew in bars where his legend was more rumor than fact. Yet the way the room hushed when he spoke proved the gossip hadn't died. Someone whispered, "Didn't he beat an alien admiral at that strategy game once?" "Yeah, live broadcast. Made the alien resign in 3 moves. Florida man before Florida man," another muttered, and the corner erupted in bitter laughter. But laughter didn't erase what people had seen. Laughter didn't bring the women back. Across Earth, factions argued. The European Union pleaded for dialogue. Washington demanded weapons. Beijing spoke of patience, Delhi of alliances. Every government feared being first to move, so no one moved at all. And the empire, flawless in its geometry, kept mocking us. These humans argue over reality dramas and consume molten burritos from machines. How could they resist destiny? They were wrong, of course. Our weakness was a joke sharpened into a spear. In Kiev, an old engineer discovered duct tape-jammed alien rifles, gumming their elegant designs. In Lagos, a teenager looped alien propaganda over pop songs until it became viral mockery. In Kyoto, stray cats broke into alien outposts, scattering consoles with hair and claw marks. One terrified officer's log, later intercepted, read, "The creature purrs like a death engine. It blinks twice, then disappears. Request immediate reassignment." Small victories scattered like sparks in the wind. Elias saw them for what they were: signs. What Earth lacked was not will, but a single story to bind them. A heart. He found it in Marin Vera. She worked at her father's garage, half mechanic, half outcast. Grease smudges forever streaked across her cheek. Gossip clung to her, cold as iron, quick to temper, unlikely ever to marry. None of that mattered to Elias. He knew her sister had been one of the 4 women. Marin met his gaze with flint. "You want me to fight your war because my sister died?" "No," Elias said, voice rough with whiskey and memory. "I want you to fight because they think you won't." Her laugh was short, brittle. She turned her back, wiping oil from her hands. "Find another symbol. I fix cars, not empires." That night, though, she lay awake replaying the broadcast. She saw the slack rope, the way her sister's hair swung like a pendulum, the stillness that followed. The pain didn't burn clean. It settled, heavy, unbearable. By dawn, Marin walked into Elias's garage, duct tape in hand. "Fine," she said, "but we'll do it my way." Their first strike was chaos disguised as genius. A depot near Dallas, lightly guarded, filled with alien provisions. Elias expected gunfire, explosions. Instead, Marin brought a crate of cats, rolls of duct tape, and a laptop with pirated satellite uplink. The cats darted into vents, setting off alarms and scattering guards. Duct tape fused rifle triggers into useless lumps. And the laptop hijacked the bass speakers to blast 80s power ballads on loop. The humans escaped with crates of alien tech. Casualties, 0. Humiliation delivered, immeasurable. Word spread. The resistance used cats. No duct tape. I heard they sang karaoke through the loudspeakers. The Empire called it terrorism. Humans called it Tuesday. But when Marin sat alone after the raid, her victory fell hollow. The crates of stolen alien supplies couldn't fill the gap left by her sister's absence. She rubbed oil from her hands, staring at the tape dispenser on the table. Symbol or not, she felt like a fraud. Elias found her there. His eyes, weary but fierce, softened. "You think you're doing this for her?" Marin's jaw clenched. "Isn't that what this is? Revenge?" "No," Elias said. "It's survival. And survival's louder than any revenge." The war hadn't truly begun yet. Skirmishes and sabotage were sparks, but storms were gathering. Marin knew one day she'd face something far larger than duct tape or cats. Still, when she looked back at the crooked tavern, at the faces whispering about Florida Man and legends of duct tape, she saw something strange. Hope. And hope, once lit, does not easily extinguish. Remember this, reader. Dignity does not grow in the sunlight of peace, but in the shadows of grief. It blooms when all seems ash, when laughter feels like blasphemy, when the world expects your silence. Hold it close, for it is the seed of defiance. And no empire, no matter how flawless its symmetry, can hang that from a rope. They called us primitive for fighting with duct tape and cats. Yet I've never seen an empire undone by its own overconfidence so quickly. The aliens wore their symmetry like armor. Every cheekbone carved for mathematics, every gesture rehearsed. We wore chaos, laughter, and grief like weapons we barely knew how to hold. They believed war was science. We knew better. War is stubbornness in the face of inevitability, and humans are masters of inevitability's undoing. The raid on the Dallas depot had turned Marin from mechanic into a whispered legend. Farmers spoke of her in markets. Teenagers tagged walls with her sister's name. Even old veterans in smoke-filled bars muttered that maybe Earth still had a chance. Elias Kane saw it too. The way people leaned closer when Marin walked past. The way rumors crystallized into a story worth following. But she hated it. She wanted her sister, not a legacy. Her fame made her the natural choice for the next strike. This time, on the relay station orbiting high over Mexico City, a satellite the Empire used to control broadcast frequencies. If they could disrupt it, even briefly, humanity could beam their own message back across the stars. It wasn't just sabotage, it was theater, a mirror to the execution. But plans, like engines, never run as smoothly as the designers intend. The team was a patchwork, ex-soldiers in scavenged armor, hackers who still smelled like fried circuitry, mechanics carrying rifles they barely understood. And then, of course, Florida Man, shirtless, scarred, and carrying a live alligator strapped with grenades. Elias hated him instantly. Why is he here? Because he showed up? Marin said, voice flat. Training was impossible. They had 3 days to prepare, and in those 3 days, 2 rifles jammed with chewing gum, 1 drone caught fire during testing, and someone managed to spill chili con carne over the only working satellite uplink terminal. Elias nearly tore his remaining hair out. But when the night came, under the red sliver of a dying moon, they launched. Their stolen shuttle rattled like it had been glued together from junkyards, which in truth it had. Marin gripped the controls, jaw clenched, sweat dripping on her collar. Elias stood behind her, arms folded. "You've flown before?" he asked. "Tractors," she muttered. "Tractors don't usually go to orbit." "Then this will be a first." The shuttle groaned through atmosphere, bolts whining, metal screaming. Someone in the back started praying loudly. Another tried singing. And when the hull finally pierced into the quiet dark, everyone cheered like children seeing fireworks for the first time. For a moment, humanity felt infinite. The relay station hung above them, a vast wheel of silver geometry turning silently in orbit. Alien craft patrolled its perimeter, sleek as knives. One wrong signal, and the shuttle would be vapor. They docked clumsily, magnets shuddering against the polished hull. Elias led the team inside, plasma pistol in one hand, courage in the other. Corridors gleamed, sterile and cold. The hum of alien machinery was steady, clinical, alive. They moved like shadows, guided by Marin schematics stolen from an alien console weeks before. Every intersection was a risk. Every hiss of steam felt like betrayal. Yet somehow, they reached the broadcast core, an enormous chamber of rotating prisms and pulsing light, a cathedral to control. This was it. Marin approached the console, laptop in hand, fingers trembling over keys. "I can inject the virus," she whispered. "It'll hijack their next transmission." Elias nodded, positioning the others around the chamber. Florida Man pet his alligator reassuringly. For half a breath, the plan seemed possible. Then alarm shrieked. Aliens flooded in, sleek, merciless, rifles glowing. Their leader stepped forward, flawless in his perfection, voice smooth as poison. "You are amusing creatures," he said, eyes fixed on Marin. But amusement ends. Gunfire erupted. Humans scrambled for cover, duct tape sealing wounds mid-battle. Cats released to sow confusion among enemy ranks. One cat leapt onto an officer's face, claws like fury, and the alien screamed in a pitch so high it shattered a prism above. Elias fought like a man who had nothing left to lose, every shot precise, every movement final. Yet they were outnumbered, outgunned. One by one, humans fell back, pressed against the core. Marin stayed at the console, breath shallow. She typed through smoke, through screams, through fear. Lines of code streamed like prayers across her screen. The alien leader noticed, striding toward her with contempt curling his perfect lips. "Do you truly believe you can alter the will of empires?" he hissed. She didn't look up. "No, just yours." She slammed enter. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the prisms flared, light bending, sound warping. Across the galaxy, screens flickered, not with alien decrees, but with human faces. Children smiling in rubble. Old women baking bread in ruined kitchens. Men carrying neighbors from fire. And then Marin's voice, steady though her heart trembled. "We are humanity. We break. We bleed. But we do not kneel." Every world under Empire rule saw it. Every enslaved species caught their breath. The alien leader roared, raising his weapon. Elias hurled himself forward, intercepting the shot. The blast tore through his side, dropping him to the floor. Marin screamed, dragging him back even as soldiers fought tooth and nail around her. The relay station burned. Explosions rocked its hull. Elias coughed blood, forcing a smile. "Worth it," he whispered. They barely escaped, shuttle limping back through atmosphere, flames licking its wings. Half the team was gone. Florida Man vanished, his alligator left behind to become a strange myth among alien ranks. Yet the transmission had spread, unstoppable now, a virus of hope woven into every broadcast frequency. On the ground, civilians cheered. For the first time, laughter wasn't bitter. It was defiant, joyous, alive. Marin sat in the wreckage, Elias unconscious beside her, staring at the sky. She had wanted her sister. She had wanted justice. Instead, she had become something she never asked to be, a voice for billions. The world was still burning. The empire still loomed. But the silence was broken, and silence, once broken, never heals. Remember this, reader. Courage is not thunderous, nor is it clean. It is duct tape over a bleeding wound, a joke shouted in the dark, a hand trembling over a keyboard while the universe closes in. If you carry that courage, you carry all of us, and no empire, however flawless, can erase it. They thought the broadcast was a spark we could not sustain, yet the fire spread faster than their fleets could chase it. The Empire sent ships of glass and light, flawless in design, flawless in failure. We answered with rust, rage, and things held together by duct tape and hope. They mistook survival for luck. But luck is just resilience wearing a grin with bloody teeth. Months passed, and Earth was no longer quiet. Cities that had once cowered under the Empire's gaze now whispered rebellion openly. Smugglers ferried stolen alien tech through deserts at night. Children painted Marin's face on broken walls, her words scrawled beneath, "We do not kneel." Entire villages gathered around the grainy transmission replayed on hacked screens, as if it were scripture. Marin hated it. She had not asked to be a symbol. She was still a mechanic at heart, hands built for wrenches, not revolutions. But wherever she went, people reached for her, fingers brushing her sleeve as though courage could be absorbed like static. She carried it all silently, grief still an iron weight in her chest. Elias, recovering slowly from his wound, became her anchor. He walked with a cane now, his once commanding stride reduced to a limp. But his mind burned sharper than ever, weaving fragmented uprisings into strategy. "They're brittle," he told her one night, pointing at a map covered in pins and scribbles. "Empires always are. Perfect things crack easiest." Their target was the heart itself, the spire, the Empire's central broadcast hub in orbit above Saturn's rings. It was the place where the 4 women had been hanged, the stage polished with their deaths. If Earth could seize it, even for an hour, they could show not just resistance, but victory. The plan was suicide dressed as hope. The team assembled was smaller this time, leaner, fighters who had already lost too much to fear more. Veterans, scavengers, and one boy who admitted sheepishly that he'd only joined because the memes about cats were funny. Elias shook his head. Marin almost smiled. Almost. The shuttle they stole was sleeker, patched with alien parts scavenged from wrecks. Marin piloted, eyes fixed on the stars ahead. Elias sat beside her, cane across his knees, watching her with the faint pride of a man who had found his successor. When the spire came into view, silence fell. It was monstrous, a cathedral of geometry and light, its spires stretching into the void like frozen lightning. Alien patrols circled it in formation, perfect, unyielding. Marin's throat tightened. Here, her sister had died. Here, she would answer. Docking was impossible, so they rammed. The shuttle crashed through the outer ring, alarms screaming, metal tearing like paper. They spilled into the station, weapons raised, duct tape strapped to their belts. The corridors shimmered with alien polish, every line immaculate. Human boots scuffed it with dirt. The fight began instantly. Aliens surged, rifles spitting light. Humans countered with raw ferocity, grenades made from scavenged parts, bullets wrapped in foil to confuse sensors, cats loosed in events to wreak inexplicable havoc. One alien officer froze mid-battle, eyes wide. "The creature purrs," he whispered, before being tackled by the boy with the memes. Marin pushed forward, deeper into the spire. Each step echoed like a heartbeat. Elias followed, limping but unyielding, covering her back with deadly precision. Corpses littered their path, human and alien both. Yet still they moved, as if driven by something larger than flesh. At last, they reached the platform, the very one. The ropes were gone, but the memory remained. Marin's breath caught. She saw her sister's face, eyes wide, lips trembling, then gone slack. For a moment, grief almost stopped her, but Elias's hand, steady on her shoulder, pulled her forward. "Make them remember," he said. The broadcast core pulsed before them, a pillar of living light. Marin connected her console, fingers trembling, code spilling like poetry. She could hear the battle raging behind her, screams, gunfire, alien voices breaking into shrieks. The virus spread, consuming the system line by line. Then the high voice appeared. The same alien who had overseen the executions, flawless as carved marble, eyes glinting with disdain. His voice cut through the chaos. "You return to the place of your humiliation. Do you wish to die here too?" Marin turned, face pale but unbroken. "No," she said. "I came to finish what you started." They clashed, Elias raising his weapon, the high voice deflecting within human speed. Soldiers pressed closer. Marin kept typing, kept fighting the urge to collapse under memory. The virus stalled, the console flickering. Failure loomed, heavy as the ropes had been. And then Elias, bloodied, broken, made his final move. With a roar, he hurled himself at the high voice, driving his cane like a spear. The alien staggered, surprised, not killed but stalled long enough. Elias fell, chest torn by plasma, but his last words were clear. "Now, Marin." Her fingers slammed the final command. The spire's light exploded. Across the Empire, broadcasts faltered, then shifted. Every world, every station, every soldier saw the same image. Marin, standing on the execution platform, eyes blazing, voice steady as the void. "You wanted us silent. You gave us ropes. But ropes can only break bodies, not voices. We are humanity. We grieve. We rage. We endure. And we do not kneel." The galaxy listened. Colonies under alien rule erupted in riots. Species long cowed by symmetry rose up, emboldened by Earth's defiance. The perfect empire cracked. The spire shook under fire. Explosions tore through its rings. Marin dragged Elias's body toward the shuttle, tears blinding her, heartbreaking. He was gone, but his sacrifice had lit the universe. They escaped into the chaos, shuttle battered but alive. Behind them, the spire collapsed, fragments scattering into Saturn's rings like shattered glass. On Earth, the message replayed endlessly. Children chanted her words. Strangers embraced in rubble. Marin's face became hope, whether she wanted it or not. But she was no longer the cold mechanic in her father's garage. She had become what her sister could not, a voice too loud to hang. Remember this, reader. History does not belong to empires, nor to flawless conquerors who polish themselves into statues. It belongs to the cracked, the grieving, the stubborn hands that tape broken machines back together and call enough. Carry that truth in your chest, and no matter how heavy the ropes, your voice will outlast the fall.